Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points. And today on the show, we are going to be talking about... Man, there's a lot to talk about. We have to talk about the Luka debut. The Lakers beat the crap out of the Jazz. They've won a ton of games recently, a lot of them convincingly. LeBron looked great. Austin looked great. Jaxson Hayes looked like the happiest man on earth. Rui Hachimura is still learning that he has to have his hands ready all the time. And that was just basketball, because basically in like the early part of the game or right before the game, we got a report that the league is actually going to look into whether or not the Lakers should have been able to rescind the trade because the Charlotte Hornets don't think that they should have been able to do that. So that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. The Lakers are in talks, or have held talks, with Alex Len, who apparently told the Indiana Pacers that he is not going to be going there. So whether he winds up with the Lakers or elsewhere, that's something to keep an eye on. Jordan Goodwin has played his ass off. The Lakers are getting ready to convert Christian Coloco at some point this season. But if they pick up Alex Len, does it maybe make sense to convert Jordan Goodwin instead and have that perimeter defense? There are just endless bits of information and talking points to make here. We have so much stuff to get to. Raj is in Las Vegas right now. He is in Sin City. He is not available for this one. Yes, John, he is definitely drunk from just orange juice. He got a mimosa minus the mimosa part. He is just out there drinking that Sunny D and is not available for this show. And I don't believe he'll be here for Wednesday either. Bit of programming news, though. We will have George Sedano of ESPN. He was there working the sideline in that game for ESPN. So we'll talk to him about what he saw from out there and just kind of generally catch up. And way too long since I talked to George Sedano. So you're going to want to hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss that show tomorrow evening, too. You could follow us here on YouTube, youtube.com/@LakersLounge. You can hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you get your podcasts. If you are listening to the audio version of this show tomorrow, we are also going to be recording, or I will be recording, a lowdown episode. Those are RSS feed exclusive. Those are not here on YouTube. Those are a nice way to kind of start your day every morning. And then if you want to stick around for the more conversational podcasts, you're obviously more than welcome to. Man, there is so much to get to here. Such a fun game. Such a went exactly as we probably were hoping for it to go. The Lakers didn't even look that good. The offense didn't even look like it was fully, up and running at the highest levels. And they still had 100 points going into the fourth quarter. Now, the Utah Jazz suck. They aren't trying to win. This is as healthy as they'll be probably for the rest of the season, because they are trying to lose as much as they can. Solid move there from Danny Ainge to be like, no, all you fuckers are playing against the Lakers tonight. We got to get everybody out there at the same time, just so that we can at least look like we're trying. We know that we're going to lose this one, and I'm definitely salty because I didn't expect to help the Lakers land Luka. Such a fun game. So much fun to get to here. Let's go ahead and dive on in after I catch my breath, because that was just incredible. All right. So for those wondering, my dude Edwin from Silver Screen says that Reddick says to the media there that LeBron and Luka plan to play Wednesday against the Hornets. So you got that. Is it the Hornets? I thought they played the Jazz. Might be they played the Jazz. Not yet. Edwin with a bit of a typo there. So yeah, that's good to know. LeBron, kind of gave us a bit of a scare there, taking the charge and then getting up and kind of holding his abdomen. He apparently is good to go though. Hopefully for Saturday. And Luka is going to be good to go coming off of this one. A lot of people in the comments saying Luka looked a little slow, looked a little sluggish, looked a little round. Maybe I really think that like people don't quite understand that Luka always looks that way. That's kind of Dallas's concern with him. I thought he looked more tentative than he looked slow or out of shape. There's some rhythm aspect to this. He had not played in a game since Christmas. He is also going to be learning on the fly how to play with LeBron and with Austin Reaves and with the role players he's going to be feeding the way that he will. I thought it was, kind of to be expected that Luka would, finish with 14 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, on 5 of 14 shooting, 1 of 7 from 3-point line. Like that's clearly a guy who is getting his legs underneath him again. So the nice thing is this is what the Lakers look like while Luka is getting his legs underneath him. It really helped that you had LeBron go for 24 on 10 of 17 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3-point range. And then you had Austin go for 22 points on 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3-point range, 7 of 7 from the free throw line for Austin. Austin also grabbed 9 rebounds in this one. The Lakers went small a lot. Jaxson Hayes only played 23 minutes in this one, and some of that's because of the blowout. But the Lakers, basically, they didn't play. They played Trey Jemison at the very end. Didn't use Christian Koloko, who I'm not even sure was available for this one. And, this, again, they didn't play Dalton Connect. He was unavailable for this one. I think that has everything to do with the investigation that the league is conducting on whether or not the Lakers legally rescinded the Mark Williams trade from right at there a couple days before the deadline. Other notes I thought from this one, the Lakers continue to look very big even when they go small. Again, what drove me crazy with the ways that like Frank Vogel went small and the ways that Darvin Ham went small was that they would go like too small. Instead of having like multiple wings out there, you had multiple point guards. And it was also like multiple point guards who don't really break their guy off the dribble and don't really space the floor. So you don't really benefit of or from, going small. You basically just give up size out there at every position on the perimeter, and teams kind of pick those lineups apart. In this case, when the Lakers go small, they are basically only small at center. You have, LeBron out there. You have Luka out there. You have Dorian out there. You have Vando. You have Rui. All those guys are big for their position. You even have Austin out there, a point guard, and he is big as a point guard. Jordan Goodwin has good size as a point guard as well. So when the Lakers were going small out there, they didn't, and this is against like a relatively big front line. You do have Walker Kessler on that front line there. You do have Lauri Markkanen playing there. You do have John Collins out there. That's a big front line. John Collins is a power forward. Lauri Markkanen is like a tall, small forward, if not a power forward. Walker Kessler is a big, physical, brooding, a center there. And all three of those guys were available in this one, Jordan, and so the Lakers I thought were able to kind of mitigate some of that size and physicality when all three of those guys were out there, even if the Lakers were small, by just being super active, super athletic, and understanding of the task ahead, where like if you play small, you have to play so much harder than the other team. And I thought when the game was still close, or as the Lakers were building their lead, they continued to play way harder than Jazz in this one. some of that might have been the uh, excitement that comes with the Luka debut, and everybody was there wearing their Luka shirts and all of that good stuff. But they even had Slovenian music playing before the game. Dirk Nowitzki was in the stands. It was just it was a great scene here, and the Lakers repaid everybody for offering up that great scene with a nice, comfortable win. Fun, great to see. Elsewhere here, so oh shoot, my I didn't update the graphic. My bad, everybody. It is down here. I will do that while I talk because I am the consummate professional. Let's go there. We'll go there. And once that pops up, I will go ahead and update that. I thought in this one, it was really clear that Luka and LeBron and even Austin, to a certain extent, we're all kind of looking at each other like, do you go? Do I go? Do we go? Like, the Lakers ran some sets, I thought, that put people in the right spots. But, it was still pretty clear that those guys were just kind of like feeling out the offense. I thought it was really interesting that before the game, LeBron told Luka, don't worry about fitting in, fit the bleep out if you have to. I thought that's a good message for Luka. This is Luka's team. LeBron wanted it to be Anthony Davis's team. And it took forever for that to happen. It never really did happen. In this case, it is eventually going to happen. Luka is going to be the guy. And that's how you kind of want it. Like LeBron, between the two of them, finishes better at the rim. Luka, is I would say a slightly better shooter. LeBron is also a pretty good shooter as well. Eventually we'll get 2-man game between the two of them. I think the Lakers played that card close to the vest, and don't want to bring that out until they absolutely have to, so as to save that on tape. We'll see. The game on Wednesday is going to be another blowout, I would imagine, playing in Utah. So we'll see how the Lakers handle that one. But I thought that the player, aside from like Jaxson and aside from Rui, who like were just out there floating, like, oh my God, I can't believe, it's the LeBron meme. Like, I can't believe this is my life. I actually thought the player who, and this is what I thought going into it, I thought that, I said this to Pete, I thought that Austin would really benefit the most of anybody by playing alongside LeBron, alongside Luka. He had great matchups. As soon as he crossed half court onto the offensive side of the ball, he got to take advantage of already broken down offenses. He had a ton of open looks if he wanted them from 3-point range, and he got to the free throw line a bunch. And I don't think that's a coincidence because, again, like he does a great job of when the ball is rotating over to him. As the ball is rotating, he's kind of keeping an eye on what's going on here, and then he catches the ball and he already knows which gap he's going to attack. So either he bumps into the defender who is now trying to get back into the play and gets to the free throw line as he did tonight, or he just gets all the way to the rim, or he takes that one dribble to squeeze that corner to the help defender in and then kicks a ball out to whoever happens to be open there in the corner. Sometimes it's Gabe, sometimes it's Rui, sometimes it's Dorian. And they get those looks that way. Eventually, I'm hoping it'll be Dalton. At this point, kind of awkward if like the league's like, no, actually, you have to complete this trade, and the Lakers are like, oh, great, yeah, Mark, come on in. We're thrilled to have you. So we'll kind of see how that goes, but yeah, I think overall, I thought like what we saw from the Lakers' big three here of Luka, LeBron, and I'm including Austin in this because I think he's their third best player. I thought it looked fantastic offensively, and so long as the Lakers have decent enough personnel defensively to kind of make up for some of the issues you're going to see there. Again, Utah sucks. So, like, I'm not going to be able to say definitively, see, the defense is going to be fine. I don't think we can get there. But I do think, though, that, like, the offense, if this is what it looks like when they're kind of playing do-si-do around each other, or like the analogy I always use is when guys, I don't know if you guys have ever, like, learned how to dance before, but, like, for me, I enjoy two-stepping, like country line dancing, not line dancing, but that country dance. And first time you get out there, you're literally like counting the steps, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, spin 2, spinner back 2, don't fall over 2. Like, it's just like you're going through all of these steps, and you can always tell, like, you look out onto the dance floor and you can always tell the people who are like da 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 da, and it's not quite in tune with the music, or in rhythm with the music. You could tell it's just like they are literally doing math in their head to get this dance right. And I thought we kind of saw that a little bit from Luka, LeBron, and mostly Luka. I thought Austin looked great out there. I thought LeBron kind of picked up the vibe that, like, okay, fine, I'll handle this one. Luka, eventually, like, you're gonna have to do this, but I'll handle this one. You go ahead and, ease yourself into the water. Take your time here. It's only Utah, so we can handle this one. And I thought it really benefited Luka in that way. But yeah, if this is what it looks like while all of that is going on, again, disclaimer being that this was against Utah. If that's what it looks like against, even a bad team, when this is probably going to be one of the clunkier games that those three are going to play together, I think they're going to be all right. Right after they made the trade, the I think take that I laughed at the most was, boy golly, you guys, you know what? I'm going to do the voice. Boy golly, you guys, like, what are LeBron and Luka going to look like? Like, just like, guys, I promise. like, I think they'll be okay. They're two of the brightest minds to ever pick up a basketball. I think they'll figure this out together. All right, let's go ahead and because I want to leave some room here on the back end to talk about the yes. Thank you, Benji. Yeah. If anybody needs dancing lessons, it'll be the Lakers. But yeah, I think what we're going to be looking at here with the league looking into the trade now. All right, background, and I believe I've said a lot of this in my breakdowns. I wrote about it a little bit as well. But so essentially, Mark Williams has two physical issues that the Lakers were aware of and getting ready to work with him on, basically, to make sure that he was okay. Rob Pelinka said that Kurt Rambis thought that those are issues that would eventually just kind of get figured out with time as Mark Williams grows accustomed to his body. That doesn't seem very doctoral to me, but whatever. The Lakers were willing to look past foot stuff and back stuff. And the issue, though, after that was in running their tests on and like basically what happens is when two teams agree to the components of a trade, medical teams work together. So like you have the Lakers medical staff and you have the Charlotte medical staff. They get together. Charlotte throws all of the information that they have into this big old folder, and the Lakers the Lakers medical staff take a look at that and see how things track. The Lakers also run their tests that run congruent to these conversations, and they look for abnormalities between the test results that they get and the information that the other team provides them. And what the Lakers decided was there were too many abnormalities between the results of their testing and the information that Charlotte provided them. And they found this, by the way, obviously after the trade deadline. And normally, right, if let's say you basically, like, if the Lakers would have agreed to this trade a week earlier, the Lakers would have been able to renegotiate and say, like, not include the pick swap, or instead of Dalton Connect, they send over like Christian Wood, something like that. And in this case, though, because the trade took place, or because these issues arose after the trade deadline, the Lakers had to basically, unless either they had to accept the trade as it was, despite these abnormalities, or they would have had to, and they did, choose to rescind the trade. And somebody I spoke to close to the Lakers were like, yeah, now that we have hindsight at our disposal, bit of a red flag that they presented us Mark Williams as late in the trade deadline, hoping that we would basically be so desperate as to accept the trade no matter what, even given these potential abnormalities. So, yes, solid policy at all times, blended oranges to trade Westbrook. But yeah, they now Charlotte's side of the story here is that the Lakers approached Charlotte. Now, and to be fair to Charlotte, the Lakers did approach several teams around the league about their young and specifically athletic centers, right? Jalen Duren is another example that we at Clutch Points, my dude Brett Siegel, and I heard about as well. And you can go on down the line. Like they were in contact with a ton of teams about their young, athletic, above the rim type centers. And one of them, now Charlotte says that the Lakers pursued Mark Williams aggressively. The Lakers say that Charlotte approached them about trading Mark Williams. This is an instance where I actually think the truth is somewhere in between, where I think the Lakers kind of approached them about Mark Williams, and then the Hornets kind of waited and waited and waited, and then we're like, okay, now let's go ahead and go now and really pursue this conversation, really move that conversation forward, and hope that the Lakers are so desperate that even if they find some of these abnormalities, which I believe Charlotte knew about, even if the Lakers find some of those abnormalities, they're like, we have to take the trade. We can't not have a center. And in this case, the Lakers were like, no, we're not going to take a bad trade for somebody who we are concerned is going to be able to play basketball a few years from now, even. And so that's where things stood coming into the game. Then coming into it, the two players who would have gone to Charlotte were obviously Dalton Connect and Cam Reddish. And then when they got back, Dalton was listed as questionable, if not probable, with personal reasons. And then Cam Reddish was listed as out for personal reasons. Turns out he is welcoming a child. So congratulations to the Reddish family. So still, though, Reddish is sitting there on the bench. He looks super awkward. And it turns out the reason he looks so awkward is because I would imagine the Lakers and Charlotte Hornets knew, even as this game was going on, that the league was getting ready to investigate whether or not the Lakers are able to, or were able to, or were right to rescind the trade. Here's where things get, I have never, I did some quick Googling. I have not heard of an example where the league forced a trade to go through. If a team decides that it didn't have proper information or didn't get enough information from the team trading them a player, normally the league kind of backs off and says, look, that's for them to decide once they get that information. In this case, the Hornets are basically hoping that the league decides whatever information the Lakers feel like they have beyond the information that the Hornets gave them, some kind of new information. The Hornets are hoping that the league decides that isn't enough new information, that the Hornets didn't make available to them to rescind the trade. That essentially the Lakers would have been looking for a reason to rescind the trade. Now, it was a bit of an overpay. I thought the analysis, overwhelmingly was that it was a bit of an overpay. And maybe, just maybe, the Lakers caught wind of that. I don't think like this happened at all. I think it's far more that they're concerned about Mark Williams' physical. But I did think it was interesting when we got word of this trade, or when Rob made his public statements. It was like, yeah, Luka wanted Mark Williams specifically. I don't know if Luka knew who Mark Williams was. And then it was like, yeah, Kurt Rambis wanted Mark Williams, and he thinks he's going to be okay. And I work with so-and-so on this, and I work with everybody on this. And I thought it was really interesting that Rob kind of distanced himself from this one. Especially in comparison to the Luka trade. We was like, nope, all me, peace sign, yo. And we'll, like, he's been front and center for the entirety of that process. So, yeah, if I had to guess how this is going to play out, the league, this isn't sourced, speculation on my part, but because it would be setting kind of a weird precedent that they would be able to force trades to go through, the league, I think, will probably err on the side of the Lakers here and say, like, look, whatever it is that you found out, if you can show me proof of this new information, then yeah, you can move forward, and Mark Williams will remain in Charlotte, and Dalton Connect and Cam Reddish and your draft capital will remain in LA. Now, obviously, we're talking about two very different outcomes here. So I'm going to take a quick second, catch my breath, and try to explain what each outcome would mean for the Lakers' approach to buyout season. All right, so we'll do the more likely, I think, outcome to this, which is the league upholds the rescinded trade, upholds the Lakers' ability to rescind the trade, and Dalton Connect remains a Laker, Cam Reddish remains a Laker. The Lakers have no open roster spots, and they only have about like 1.8-ish million. It's like 1.8 or 1.88, just under 1.9 maybe $1 million of gap between where they currently sit and the second apron. If they do that, I would anticipate Cam Reddish gets waived, and one of either Shake Milton, who has money left on his contract beyond the season, but it's all non-guaranteed. So I believe if the Lakers waive him, they would be in their rights to do so and not owe him money beyond the season. Or they would waive Christian Wood. They could technically waive all three if they want to convert Christian Coloco, also sign Alex Len, and also convert Jordan Goodwin, who I'm told they really like and they've been really impressed by over the last few games. I think that's probably the most prudent path forward. I don't think they need Shake Milton's offense. I think Jordan Goodwin's defense is a lot more necessary to what the Lakers are going to be looking to do for the rest of the year. Obviously, they really like Christian Coloco, though it does kind of stand out that they didn't play him again tonight in a blowout. Maybe, I heard that their plans are to eventually convert Christian Coloco, but that was before they figured out that Alex Len might be available. Len previously was in talks with the Indiana Pacers, but there was a report, and I'm sorry to the reporter because that tweet is now so far down my timeline. But there was a report out of Indiana that the talks between Len and the Pacers kind of broke down. He believed that Len would eventually be a Laker. For what it's worth, I have also heard a lot of that noise. And we'll see how that turns out. So, door number one, or door letter A, is the trade remains rescinded. Dalton remains a Laker, and Cam remains a Laker. I do kind of think that they might be smart to keep Cam, given how wing oriented everything that they're doing is. But regardless, they wind up waiving. Let's say they waive Reddish, they waive Milton, and they waive Wood, who I'm not positive is going to play this year. And they convert Coloco, they bring in Len, and they convert Jordan Goodwin. And that makes up your roster going into the playoffs. Now let's take a look at door number 2. In this case, the trade stands. The league forces the Lakers to abide by the trade, and Dalton goes to Charlotte. And by the way, part of the reason that I like Jordan Goodwin in door number 1 is because if you have Dalton, then you don't need Shake Milton's offense. But anyway, behind door number 2, you keep Mark Williams, which means you probably don't need Alex Len. Though it might make some sense for depth purposes. But I think at that point, you definitely convert Christian Coloco so that you have Mark Williams and Jaxson Hayes and Coloco as your kind of like 3-headed. I don't want to call it a monster because it's not the best center rotation ever, but it's a decent enough center rotation to head into the postseason with. You no longer have Dalton. So, and you no longer have Cam, which means you also, by the way, have more room under the second apron to work with, and you have an open roster spot to work with, which means you can convert Coloco. You can waive Christian Wood without being worried about center depth because you now have Williams and Hayes and Coloco. If you waive Wood, you could bring in Len for extra center depth. Remember, they also have Maxi Kleba waiting. They'll make some kind of a reevaluation at the end of the season with him. And we'll see how that comes back. But I would imagine in this case, though, if you do make the Mark Williams trade, Christian Wood gets waived at the very least. Cam Reddish is already in Charlotte. So you have room to convert Coloco and you have room to convert Jordan Goodwin. And if you make the decision to waive, say, like Shake Milton, you can go out and sign another guard there, maybe a little bit more defensive-minded guard. Though I don't really think Shake Milton or Jordan Goodwin is going to play in the playoffs all that much. But still, those are things that the Lakers could possibly do. What is more likely than the other? I think door 1 is more likely than door number 2, but who knows? I had somebody ask me, like, how long will the investigation take? Well, if it's based on the way that they handle their legal investigations with stuff that they don't really want to find, the investigation might run forever. If it is the kind of thing that they need a quick answer to, we'll probably get one in the next 24, 48 hours tops, because you have Lynn waiting to make a decision. You have, the Lakers have a ton of work on the other side of this trade, one way or the other, to get done. And everybody, I think, would like to just kind of move on. All right. I think. Yeah. All right. That, I think, is going to do it for the. I hate how litigious all of that was. I'm sorry if I lost any of you guys getting into the weeds there of what the Lakers can and cannot do. One thing for sure, also, if they do wind up having to uphold the Williams trade because they have more room, look for the Lakers to really take their time. You're talking 10-day deals, you're talking workouts, you're talking real flexibility there in ways that they do not have if they do not uphold the Mark Williams trade, and you only have it's a difference between 3 point something million and 1.8 million. And given that these are prorated veteran minimum salaries and 10-day contracts and stuff like that, every single million counts. So just, something to keep in mind. All right, let's go ahead and dive on into the super comments here. starting with the all-important clip that everybody loves. We have two. So nice quick show tonight. Mockman writes, we look scary. What's the deal in the Charlotte trade? I think we found our free agent. I'm guessing you're talking about Jordan Goodwin. But yeah, or Alex Len, could be Alex Len as well. There again, a lot of noise about Alex Len to the Lakers, but there's a lot hanging in the balance here based on the outcome of the league's investigation into what the Lakers did or did not know or know, or what the Charlotte Hornets did or did not withhold, or whether the Lakers operated on fair grounds to not fair grounds, like, a county fair, but like fair and legal grounds to actually rescind the trade. Depending on the outcome there, then we'll see what the free agent looks like. But I do really think that Jordan Goodwin has made a real positive first impression on the Lakers organization. I guess he's been really good in the G League so far this year. And then the fact that he immediately, like, they brought him up and he immediately played and he's immediately looked as good as he did. I think that would indicate that, the Lakers like him enough to keep him around beyond or heading into the playoffs. And by the way, in terms of like availability for the playoffs, what matters a lot more is when a player is waived or bought out by their previous team. They have to be waived or bought out by March 31st in order to be eligible for the playoffs. But in the case of like two-way contract guys, that doesn't really matter because they are already in the organization that would want them available for the playoffs. So the Lakers can wait until Christian Coloco gets his 50th game that he's eligible for, and they can wait until Jordan Goodwin plays his 50th game as well, and they can take this all the way through to the end of the season, saving themselves a little bit of money, saving themselves some room under the second apron, all of that good stuff. But they have some flexibility there as far as the timing goes on those two guys. Alex Len, obviously already available, and then we'll keep an eye on players who get bought out or waived between now and March 31st. Brandon Omang writes, if Christian Wood can come back in the next few weeks, I would waive Cam Reddish and Shake Milton, then sign Goodwin and Len. Center rotation of Jaxson Hayes, Christian Wood, Alex Len, and Maxi Kleber. Does DK still fit into the rotation at all? Look, you guys saw the passes that LeBron and Austin and Luka were making. Dalton has been inconsistent a shooter and has been a very inconsistent shooter so far this year. But in terms of like raw shooting talent, he is easily the Lakers' best in that regard. And I think somebody like JJ Redick, who is wired like a shooter, would be looking for any and all opportunities to get Dalton Connect as open as he's going to be from three-point range with Luka and or LeBron James and or Austin Reaves on the court to feed him the basketball. There have been some frustrations with Dalton, I'm told, as far as like his ability to his basketball IQ. And then there have been some frustrations with his inconsistency as a shooter. But I do think the Lakers do still believe in him. And I do think that there is a role for him out there. I don't believe that Christian, I will believe that Christian Wood is available when he's been available for like a couple of weeks straight with no problem. Same goes for Maxi Kleber. So I'm not really going to plan on either of those guys, which is why I'm probably pro bringing in Alex Len, basically no matter how this plays out. The other thing too is clearly the Lakers are worried about Mark Williams's medical situation. And in that case, it would make sense for the Lakers to, bring in a replacement just in case Mark Williams' physical stuff pops up already this season. So, it's worth keeping that in mind as well. I think the deeper the center rotation, the better for the Lakers, especially if they're all of the mold of like get up above the rim and allow Luka and LeBron and Austin to make your life as easy as possible. And I do like the fact that if he's healthy, Kleba does throw that kind of curveball where he spaces the floor as well and becomes a pick and pop threat, at least theoretically, compared to the other guys that are elsewhere on the roster. Maybe even including Christian Wood, who shot the ball really poorly last year. Barnes writes, Dalton Connect won't get minutes with this Jordan Goodwin point of attack play. They have found their shooting guard. We don't want this trade to go through? Question mark. Man, I thought about this a weird amount over the course of the game, mostly because the game was over by like the second quarter. But that is such a great question. Are the Lakers better off with the trade going through or not? I think they have a higher ceiling now if the trade goes through, clearly, right? Pete and I were talking about championship potentially with Mark Williams potentially on the roster. Now, we don't know how available he'll be or how consistently he'll be healthy, which obviously changes the Lakers' ceiling here. But I think they will be just fine if this trade goes through, especially with the way that Jaxson Hayes continues to play. If the trade doesn't go through, they have a lower ceiling this year, but they have a much higher ceiling next year as far as what they are capable of doing with trade assets, potential exceptions that they could use, and maybe even I don't think they'll have a ton of cap space, or there's a route to cap space for the Lakers next year, but it depends on the kind of pay cut LeBron takes. I think like you look at him on the sideline today, and that dude was like it's the meme, the guy playing a video game meme where he's sitting back here like this, and then something happens and he leans forward in his chair. Like LeBron was leaning forward for the entirety of this game. It was really fun to watch. And then there's also the great picture of Luka right before he throws that like length of the court outlet pass to LeBron for a dunk, where he's like smiling. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm throwing this to LeBron." Like it was it's one hell of a combination. Obviously some questions about the defense, and I do think the defense would be better without Mark Williams, but man, either way, either your offense is completely unstoppable because Mark Williams is a better offensive player than Jaxson Hayes, or your defense is a little bit better and allows you to get out and transition in the way that the Lakers did in this game, and then they become completely overwhelming. So no matter what, I think the Lakers are going to be good, like actually good this year. It's just a matter of like if you prefer a higher ceiling this season compared to a higher ceiling moving forward. I see either side of that conversation. All right, let's take a quick glance at some of the free comments to see what you guys are asking about. Yusuf Katish asking from Twitter, do you think this trade goes through? By the way, if you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to youtube.com/@LakersLounge is where you can find the show there. And subscribe, hopefully. Do I think the trade goes through? I don't think so, but I also haven't really heard of the league like reopening this kind of matter. So maybe it's so unprecedented to this point that they do actually force it through. Good point here from Bashir. Koloko was in street clothes behind the bench, so he wasn't active, and it wouldn't affect his game's restriction. That makes some sense. I don't think the Lakers are all that worried about the game restriction at this point, given that I believe they anticipate converting him at some point. But maybe that makes it all the more smart to be that much more cautious with the number of games so that you can convert him later into the season and save you some financial flexibility under the second apron. So that's a good point there as well. Manny saying, I would keep Koloko over Len. I like that Len is huge. Len is a giant human being, and that is something that I really want to see here with the Lakers. Like he is good at like creating offensive rebounds. And if you give LeBron and Luka and Austin extra offensive possessions, I like the notion of that. Not very mobile, terrible defensively, in some ways. But yeah, I think I would keep both. Like I would just keep it simple and keep both. Let's go back through here. Blended oranges. Are these Laker highs too high? You and Pete always say don't get too high on the highs, don't get too low on the lows. This is the highest the Lakers have been in a regular season in quite some time, where it actually feels sustainable, knock on wood. I am nervous about the potential fall on the other side of this, but if you think of it that way, you are going to live a pretty miserable life, because anytime anything goes good, you're going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop. So, and then you wind up stressing when things even go well, which I don't want to live that way either. So, I'm going to enjoy this for what it is. As Raj said the other day, just kind of smell the roses when we get the opportunity to do that. And in this case, I am going to stop and sniff a couple of these roses. The Lakers looked incredible tonight. Absolutely incredible. And they were clearly do-si-doing out there. They were clearly trying to figure this out. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this one out here. I am going to leave you really quickly on this funny clip. No, I'm not. I'm not going to. See, this is the thing. I want to poke fun at the Dallas Mavericks organization, because not only did they gift wrap the Lakers Luka Doncic, but they also did so in some of the dumbest PR ways that I've ever seen. And those of you who have been listening to the show for a long time know I have a ton of experience in PR. This has been an absolute clinic on what not to do here. Jason Kidd didn't take questions or speak to the media after the game tonight. They kicked a a fan out for like they had some kind of on-camera thing, and after he participated in the on-camera game between stoppages of play or during a stoppage of play, he was like, "Fire Nico." And they like zoomed way out. It was incredible. Like zoom way out. Like, you didn't see that. And then on top of it, they kicked him out, and everybody was booing the fact that they kicked him out. Just absolutely embarrassing stuff here from a Dallas Mavericks organization that clearly had no idea, or maybe they did know exactly how this was going to go and did it anyway. I don't know which one is worse. But regardless, they have completely screwed this up, and the Lakers get the benefit. The only people I feel sincerely bad for are Dallas Mavericks fans who, like, I have my best man in my wedding. He is going to follow the Lakers now. Now, he's always more of a Luka fan than he was a Mavericks fan, so I believe that makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, my dude Balin is like, yeah, and by the way, like, I'm of the opinion that like if a organization screws you to the extent that the Mavericks organization screwed their fan base, you should be allowed to be like, no, like, I'm not hanging around for this, right? Like, if you're in a really bad relationship, if you're in a relationship that makes you feel miserable all the time, get out of the relationship. And I think in this case, the Mavericks have given their fan base more than enough reason to get the bleep out of that relationship. So I feel for Mavericks fans. I feel for Luka too, right? Because he was obviously very floored by the trade. He appeared to be really happy, though, in a Laker uniform tonight. He appeared to be really happy playing alongside LeBron James, who also appeared to be really happy to be playing alongside Luka. Oh, the other guy that I feel for here, Anthony Davis. I don't know if word is out there already, but there is some concern that the abdominal strain that he was already dealing with kind of popped back up, and then he kind of strained his groin in a way that they are concerned might need surgery. And I feel awful for him because now he's going to be the face of this shit when it very clearly needs to be Nico, who should be the face of all this stuff and should wear the entirety of ownership of this giant mistake that the Dallas Mavericks made and the Lakers now get to benefit from. But anyway, that's my spiel on that. The Lakers beat the Utah Jazz by a final of a lot to a little. It was 132 to 113. It wasn't even that close. The Lakers could have won this one by 50 if they wanted to, and kind of took their foot off the ignition there at the very end. And we'll play Utah again in Utah, where Danny Ainge can tune in. Any Lakers fan, all right, if you are within earshot of this podcast and you are going to the game in Utah, I need you to assemble all Lakers fans. Did you hear that? And yell at the top of your lungs while Luka is playing, "Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny." Because without Danny Ainge, this trade might not go through. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. Make somebody else's. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. And until the next time you guys hear from me, I'm Anthony Irwin saying this has been the Lakers Lounge, and I will talk to you tomorrow.